Welcome to City League Sports, everybody, the show where we talk about the past, the present, and the future of Columbus City Schools athletics. I'm Storytellin Jordan here. Clearly, I'm not Dr. Clarno. He has the day off today. I'm the producer, so I get about 90% of these people in these seats. I'm the one, reaching out to principals, ADs, trying to get kids on these shows. I'm the one DMing, you guys, on Instagram, trying to get you guys on this show. So today, I'm out of my element, but we're going to make it work.
Let's do it.
So we got Torry Cornett, football, basketball star, Independence 04, in the building today. Say what's up to Columbus.
What's up, Columbus? Torry's in the house.
All right. Sounds good. So we're going to start off with this. Johnson Park Middle School. Does the name Mr. Roberts sound familiar to you?
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Roberts. Yes, it does. That's my sixth grade math teacher. Mr. Roberts was our track coach. Mm-hmm. He was our soccer coach. He spent a lot of time with us. His Mr. Roberts' sister, actually, and my mom are really good friends. I didn't find that out till after Johnson Park. But Mr. Roberts was, probably one of the first black males that I seen when I walked through the doors at Johnson Park Middle School.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something. So 2004-ish, Mr. Roberts was my math teacher. Uh-huh. And I just remember being in his class, and he was always saying, Torry Cornett this, Torry Cornett that. Torry Cornett, he's the man. He always had all these good things to say about you. And at the time, you were about a senior in high school. And so he planted those seeds. So my older brothers went to Independence. So shout out to Zach Hinkle-Moore, Derek Hinkle-Moore. So I was still going to games, even as a middle schooler. So I remember seeing you playing basketball and football. And I'm like, oh man, this is Torry Cornett. This is a superstar. And I knew that because of what Mr. Roberts was saying. So what does that mean to you to know that one of your former teachers was saying, such great things about you to the younger kids?
And Mr. Roberts, he's a staple, man. And actually lives in the neighborhood not too far away from Johnson Park. Just one of those stories that you hear about someone that's in the community, helping out in the community, someone that you can go to and have candid conversation with. Mr. Roberts was a math teacher, and I remember at Johnson Park we had Dr. Marvina Bosley, mm-hmm. Who was our principal at the time, and they implemented a program where you could take algebra in the sixth grade, pre-algebra in the sixth grade, algebra in the seventh, and geometry, get a high school credit in the eighth grade. And Mr. Roberts was someone who believed in me and believed that I could actually, go to pre-algebra to kind of get my, challenge me a little bit. Right. But just to hear that is gratifying, man, that Mr. Roberts would say that, would mention me, man. And we had a lot of great guys that come out of Johnson Park. Mr. Roberts used to mention guys like Justin Valentine, who ended up going to Eastmoor Academy, playing at Minnesota. And he was our track coach. Mm-hmm. He was our soccer coach. And it's crazy that you say that because Mr. Roberts used to call us the thoroughbreds, where my thoroughbreds at. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's good to know that, people are still mentioning you even when you're not even, aware of that, man. And for sure. That's
love, man. So we talked about this a little bit before the show. So I went to Johnson Park too, obviously. I said it just now too, but I went to school with your sister, Torry Cornett. Yeah. So I remember her very well. She was very well respected among her peers. She had the influence. She had the academics. She was an athlete. She was basically a Cornett. That's what y'all do.
For sure.
So staying in middle school, shout out to Torry. Actually, I want to say this. She's actually the reason why you're on the show. Yeah. So I hit her up on Facebook. I was like, yo, Torry, we're trying to get Torry on the show. Can you help me? And she was like, oh, yeah, I got you. So definitely shout out to your sister.
Big shout out, Reedy. We love you, baby.
Yeah, shout out. So staying in middle school, talk about just middle school. You kind of mentioned the neighborhoods, riding your bike. Talk about what music y'all was listening to. Talk about the hallways. Tell us some JP stories when Torry was 11, 12, 13 years old.
Oh, man, Johnson Park Middle School, I would wear my Columbus Cougar jersey to school in the sixth grade. I would wear my Eastland Viking jersey to school in the eighth grade. We had a dress code. Some of the music that I was listening to, man, I'm looking at, that's when Cannabis was out, and him and LL Cool J had a battle. That's when DMX, the Rough Riders anthem, stop, drop, shut them down, open up. That's when all that came out. Johnson Park was an amazing school. It challenged you. It was a neighborhood school. It felt like a STEM school, but it wasn't. It was just we just had people like Mr. Roberts, people like Mr. McClure, people like Dr. Marvina Bosley, Miss Tinker after, Miss Bosley, Miss Edwards. We just had a bunch of teachers that really cared about the students. And we had a chess club. Johnson Park was the first place I learned how to play chess. We had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Glover on Saturdays. He would bring us in. We would have Reese's Donuts. If you're from the East Side, you know about Reese's on
Classic.
Livingston. He would bring in Reese's Donuts, and we would play chess, and he taught us the game of chess. We were able to enter in chess tournaments. Johnson, not let alone the sports alone. You had so many guys, Erik Hall, D'Angelo Smith, and I can name and keep naming, but Johnson Park was a very special place for me, man. And I go back there now, and I see the administration now doing great things, and I'm just looking forward to that East Side Johnson Park continuing to put out great products like myself and yourself. Matt Barnes is in the stands. Pretty much commentating the game. I mean, he doesn't have no equipment, or
he's just still doing it.
He's just doing
That's
it.
passion right there.
Like him and a couple guys are just up there commentating the game, like middle school basketball. So I seen Matt. He kind of wanted to get into this field forever, and I seen it. So it's just crazy to see somebody. We talk about City League, and from the city, at least the middle school, Johnson Park Middle School, coming out with so many people doing so many great things, man. And
yeah. What about like the neighborhood? Like, were you a Barnett kid? Were you riding your bike around playing ball? Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I call myself a Berwick baby.
Yeah.
We moved to Berwick, around the time in middle school, coming from Smith Road. Man, and so just walking to school. So with Johnson Park, they would only bus you if you live 2 miles away from school. Mm-hmm. So I live within that 2 mile radius. So I didn't get bused. So, right. It was walking to school. We either getting dropped off in the morning, to school with parents in the neighborhood, and it was definitely in the 6th grade, it was walking home from school. Mm-hmm. We walk home, 5, 6 deep, through the neighborhood. And, being in Berwick, it's like your next door neighbors with anybody from Barnett, anybody from the Courtright area.
Yes, sir.
Anybody from, East Haven, Sutton Square. You're riding your bikes from Berwick to Sutton Square all the way back, going down Churchill's on Courtright. You know what I mean? Everybody knows kind of what I'm talking about. But just the family that was developed at Johnson Park Middle School, I think definitely was a great foundation for myself.
Yeah, I remember I never got to have Mr. McClure, but like my older brother Derek, he was always talking about Mr. McClure, like, and just how funny he was and how much the kids loved him. Like, unfortunately, he passed away before I was able to have his class, but definitely shout out to him. I'm trying to think of like what other teachers like did I really like middle school, like for me.
Did you have Dr. Turner?
I knew who she was, but I did not have her.
Dr. Turner.
Everybody loved Dr. Turner.
Yeah.
Like people talk about.
Did you have Coach Jackson?
Yeah, the gym. Yeah,
the gym too.
I used to be a sub teacher.
Okay,
and like I used to run into him. At Independence. I run into your brother too. Like your brother was my sub teacher at Independence.
Okay,
and so now I'm running into him now at like Buckeye Middle School and stuff. People like, what's going on, man? I'm like, yo, what's going on? It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
like
connection.
Yeah. So like everybody talk about like high school and college and how those are like the best times of your life. Like honestly, for me, I know people hate middle school. I love middle school, dude. Like Johnson Park. Like it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was rough, but there was a lot of cool kids there too, and those are the best times of my life. So shout out to like Jerome Prentice, shout out to Terrence Watkins, Sam Haygood, Gerald Ivory. Like those are my dudes back then.
Yeah, for sure.
So you leave middle school, you go to Independence High School, and y'all have a squad. Like I mean, for football, you kind of just mentioned some of the names, but you had Erik Hall, you had D'Angelo Smith, you had Jacob Ramsey. So what was it like playing with such high caliber athletes at Independence?
Man, it was, at the time, I don't know if we looked at it like that. We didn't look at each other as like high caliber. We just looked at each other, a bunch of dudes that just want to work hard and want to compete. And Coach Marvin Bohannon was our coach our freshman year, and he used to always talk about being great. And one thing he used to say was great players make great plays in big games. And so everybody walked around and just, it was kind of like a joke. It was just like, come on, man, what you doing? Be great. Be great, and we started this lingo of just like being great. And so, we didn't really know what we were doing at the time. We were just playing sports, having fun, trying to be the best that we can be. And it really blossomed into something really special. But prior to even the teams, like some of my influences of why I wanted to go to Independence, I had older brother, Torry Cornett, older cousin, Tony Cornett stayed with us. He's a year and a half older than me. And so that competition and having two older brothers that go there similar to yourself kind of drove me there. Not to mention other influences in the neighborhood, the Smith Road area. You had Rod Harper. You had Joe Cooper. You had Art Mackey. You had Earl Humphreys, who's the coach at Beechcroft High School. All of these people going to Independence, me going to the games in the Coliseum, seeing Kenny Gregory, who was a Johnson Park alumni, who later was McDonald's All-American, went to Kansas. Seeing these guys in high school, I had to sit back and say, man, I want to be a part of that Sixer Nation. The Mighty Eye is what we called it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to be a part of that. But jumping forward, man, you talk about D'Angelo Smith, Erik Hall. Erik Hall was Ohio State's #1 recruit out of high school. This is a guy that grew up with me at Berwick Elementary School to Johnson Park to Independence High School. D'Angelo Smith, who's now the coach, defensive back coach at Ohio University, had a stint in the NFL with the Cowboys, the Browns, and the Lions. I mean, these are guys that we spent the night over each other's house.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And not to mention Jacob Ramsey. Jake was my college roommate. Now the AD at Canal Winchester High School, longtime athletic director in Columbus Public City Schools. Jacob started, I want to say he started in the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl and these are all people right here. And Jacob probably went to sophomore, I believe. These are all people that went to middle school, high school right here in the city and products of Independence. And so it just was kind of like iron sharpens iron. Jacob is a little younger than us. He's looking at the older guys, trying to keep up, trying to be competitive. We're all trying to be competitive and trying to outdo each other. But at the same time, at the end of the night on Friday night after the games, we're all having pizza, kicking back and hanging out. So it was just a great experience, man. Yeah, for sure.
So 06, I was a little freshman. I had just got to Independence. Jacob Ramsey was a senior back then. And believe it or not, we had acting one together. He sat right in front of me. And I was like, oh, man, this is like Jacob Ramsey. Like, this dude's like that. He's that guy. Like, he's a big deal. You know what I mean? So, like, that's a little story about that.
Yeah.
But who are some of the other big names that you guys played against, like, in football? Like, I know you had Brookhaven, Eastmoor. Who were some of them City League guys that you guys went up against?
Yeah, man. 04, man, we had, on the east side, we had Walnut Ridge. Shout out to Ridge. We had Eastmoor, who is pretty much like our rival, Deontay Johnson, Donald Henderson. Those guys, Marion Franklin, they had a bunch of young studs. That was their junior year. Alex Daniels, Keith Massey, Eric Wade, Big Mike Cross, Marino Bowes. Like, Marion Franklin was nice, man. They had the biggest team. West, South, you know what I mean? Like, the City League South at least was loaded. Not to mention, we played Beechcroft. You had your Sir Joseph Welch's of the world. And let me not forget, Walnut Ridge had Gary Russell, who later won a Super Bowl ring that we had to play against. And Brookhaven, you know what I mean? Brookhaven, they put us out the tournament, but those was all my boys too. Jermaine Cox, Akeem Galloway.
Was DJ Jones there?
DJ Jones, Dominique Jones. DJ was a beast.
Yeah.
Kinko, the D line, their whole D line, offensive line, Brookhaven, they was nice. And Brookhaven, they had the coaching, they had the camaraderie, and the City League then was just, it was it, man. When we played, different schools in the OCC, and different things like that, it wasn't a thing. It was like, we're going up against Walnut Ridge, or we're going up against Brookhaven. If we went up against Pickerington or Kettering Alter, it just kind of was, the competition was a lot, it was even. The competition was even. It was just whoever's night it was that night, that's, who could win the game.
Yeah. So think of a memory, like, think of your days, it's probably your senior year, junior year, like, name a great game that you remember. Like, it could be like your performance or your team's performance. Like, just talk about a great game, a great memory, and tell us what happened.
Yeah, man. Great game my senior year probably had to be, great games. We had like those three teams that I mentioned. Shout out to Marion Franklin High School, shout out to Eastmoor Academy, and shout out to Walnut Ridge High School. In those games, thinking forward as far as Walnut Ridge, the year previous, we had lost to Walnut Ridge. They had guys like Tiger Ellison, Ernie Wilwright, Gary Russell, Mike Jones. And shout out to that whole 03 class at Walnut Ridge, man. They got us. And I said, our senior year, there's no way that we're going to let Ridge get us.
Right.
And Erik, my buddy, he was battling with Gary Russell to be the best running back in the state. Not only the city league, but in the state. And Erik was like, man, come on, T, man, you ain't gonna let Gary rest for 150 yards on you. So I was looking like, E, what you talking about, man? But lo and behold, E wanted to, rest for more yards. So I came out that game, probably had about 15 tackles. I was kicking field goals, punting, catching touchdown passes, man. We was doing it all. So that game kind of solidified us. And then we had to play them again the first round of the state playoffs. So that year, beating Ridge twice was huge, coming off of a previous year where they had beat us. It really showed us and really kind of propelled us going into the state that year.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, you were also a third-team All-State basketball player. So what was it like to be like, let's talk about basketball a little bit, but I guess the question is like, what was it like to be able to play multiple sports at a high level in both? Because third-team All-State, that's no joke. Like, you were no scrub, obviously.
Yeah, no, top 15 in the state, man. 5 people make All-State, and that's, I believe that was Division I, So, I grew up hooping. I grew up Schiller Recreation Center, Marion Franklin Recreation Center in the hoop sessions. And then my dad formed his own AAU team playing in All-Ohio for a couple years. So I grew up a hooper. Football was something that I kind of, even though I played it at a young age, I was just always good at. Basketball was something that I loved. And so I really kind of dedicated a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. But, just my journey in basketball, watching my brothers play, TJ and TC, Tony Cornett, Torry Cornett, watching them ball out in the city, and just kind of having an expectation of greatness, and always just knowing that I wanted to play in college. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to play sports in college. And, it was nobody that was going to tell me that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And so it was just the journeys along the way as far as basketball were really kind of got me into, propelled me into basketball was, like I speak on my family a lot, these one-on-one in the backyard. We had a basketball hoop in the backyard, one-on-one with my brother Terry, one-on-one with Tony, keeping track who won today. Then you go in the basement and you're playing video games, you're keeping track who won. And me always having to play against older guys, once it got to my class 2004, I think it kind of prepared me for those moments, you know what I mean, of going up against the best guys in the state.
So what about the City League? Who you guys played against? Like, were you playing against Jamel Cornley? Like talk about some of them big names that you personally got to experience and talk about that.
So me and Jamel actually grew up playing on my dad's AAU team together, believe it or not, as young kids, man. And we battled against Jamel Cornley, Brandon Ivory, who was at Walnut Ridge. You're looking at, Sergio Welch, who was at Beechcroft, Jermaine Cox at Brookhaven High School. Come on, man. So many different, Julian Sullinger, who was at Northland High School. He put me on the spot. And hey, y'all, don't get mad at me. I know I love y'all.
It's too many names.
It's too many names.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of dogs come out those years. Even Jamel was a year younger. Jeff Cumberland, who was at Brookhaven, and then, playing against Drew Lavender, who was, a year or so older than me, class of 03, Brandon Fouts. These guys who went on to play at Oklahoma and then Xavier, right here in the city, we had so many Division I athletes in both basketball and football right here in the city. It was just amazing. It was an amazing time.
Yeah, man. I actually was at that Brookhaven Independent City League championship game at Otterbein, and there was no place to sit. Like, I kid you not. Like, it was like we didn't have no seats. It was stacked up in there, man. So that's a good memory for me.
Yeah.
So you leave Independence, you graduate, you start playing basketball at Prairie View A&M. So why did you choose basketball over football, and what made Prairie View stand out from other schools?
Oh, man, that's a great question. My mom, she was a retired school teacher at Columbus Public Schools, Berry Middle School, Westmore Elementary School. And she always pushed on us HBCUs. My brother graduated from Norfolk State. Tony Cornett graduated from West Virginia State. My sister, Torry, graduated from North Carolina A&T, all HBCUs. So that was kind of like, in our mind, like the benefit of going to a HBCU that had higher graduation rates for African-American students. So Prairie View was just, at the time, it was an opportunity. Jerry Francis from the city of Columbus was a coach, and they reached out to me, and I had an opportunity to go play at Prairie View in the SWAC. Everybody knows about the SWAC with Deion Sanders, Jackson State.
Yes, sir.
And I went out there, 18 years old, many miles away from home, 40 miles north of Houston, Texas, and I was able to play ball. And I had a great opportunity. Now, what made me choose basketball was I had a lot of football offers, believe it or not, out of high school. Virginia Tech, University of Cincinnati, the Naval Academy, the list goes on, Indiana. But I had hoop dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hoop, man, and I wanted to. I wanted to try my hand at hoop, and I don't regret it at all, man. I really am thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so you do leave Prairie View. You transfer to Cincinnati. So you went from basketball back to football. So what all went into that decision? Like knowing everything you just mentioned about your family and the HBCUs, what made you choose to go back to football and to go to Cincinnati?
Well, I just seen more of a future in football. I just seen, people that I grew up with, Mark Fillmore, who's a coach at Reynoldsburg High School, Lance Moore, these guys went to Berwick Elementary School, now going to the NFL. And I'm like, I played in the Sandlot with these guys. These guys are motivating factors for me. So I knew that I could transition into football. The coaches, Coach Mark D'Antonio sat on my court, my couch, offered me at the University of Cincinnati. He was coming from Ohio State as a defensive coordinator. So I knew I could make the transition. Not to mention, my homeboy D'Angelo was like, come on, man, come to UC, man, come to play with us. So I seen the opportunity. And sometimes, when opportunity comes, you don't want to pass up on opportunities.
Yeah.
So I took the opportunity to transition into football. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to play at a big-time Division I school, and had the potential to, play professional one day.
So I read somewhere that you had to earn your Bearcat stripes. Like, what is that? Can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, so, earning your Bearcat stripes was just pretty much, man, coming to University of Cincinnati, I had to come in. I talked to Coach Mark D'Antonio. He said, you could come and play here, but you'll be a walk-on. So I had to walk on my first year after he had already offered me a scholarship. So in the back of my mind, I knew I had the talent to play there, but I had to earn it. So I walk into a linebacker room, and there's 10 other guys there, and 3 of them are returning from last year. So you're looking at 7 other people that you have to beat out. And that's just to get on the field. Not to mention now I'm playing to get a scholarship. So I had to earn my stripes every day in practice, every day in workouts. And as a walk-on, if anybody's ever been a walk-on, you get all the second-hand gear. So you get the second-hand jersey, the second-hand socks, the second-hand cleats. The coaches kind of overlook you. You have to make yourself seen. You have to let it be known that you're here. And so every day in practice, I was a disruptor. I didn't care if I was on the scout team. I was trying to just take what I knew, what was mine, and I wanted someone to notice me and wanted someone to see me. So when I talk about earning my Bearcat stripes, I went in a room where no one but the coaches knew who I was, and I had to make someone know that I deserved a scholarship. And after my first year at University of Cincinnati as a walk-on, sitting out my transfer year, the next year they were able to put me on scholarship and said that, you pretty much earned it. So it was just a testament to perseverance, and it has a lot to do with, the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Coming from the City League, coming from Johnson Park, coming from Independence, sometimes being overlooked, taking all that energy, taking everything that you learn and putting it into kind of like a gumbo and having the confidence to know you can make it happen.
That's an amazing story, bro. That's an amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. So you just kind of mentioned D'Angelo Smith. So he was there. Jacob Ramsey was there. You were there, obviously. So Independence, low-key, was representing in the 513 down there. And I believe Isaiah Pete from Eastmore might have been there. So there were a bunch of City League guys down there. So what was it like to play college football with some of your friends from Columbus? Like, was that special?
It was very special. I mean, like I said before, Jacob was my roommate. Me and D'Angelo driving up and back from Columbus to Cincinnati, hanging out. Isaiah P. coming on, just being a straight beast from Eastmore. When I'm in the locker room and I'm talking to guys from Jacksonville, Florida, or Miami or wherever they're from, the City League was well represented. Not to mention, later on, Alex Daniels from Columbus Brookhaven came and played. So we had We had a crew. We had a Columbus City crew, not to mention all the guys from the OCC that came up to Cincinnati. We had a crew, and we were well represented, and anybody in the locker room knew if you were from Columbus, they knew the type of athlete that they were getting. They knew the type of personality that they were getting. And so it was an honor to play with those guys at Cincinnati, for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned Mark D'Antonio. So did you switch over to Brian Kelly eventually, right?
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because clearly you probably had some level of relationship and connection to Mark D'Antonio.
Yeah.
So what was it like going from a coaching change like so significant like that from one coach to the next?
Well, it was tough because I had to earn my stripes with Mark D'Antonio, and then when Coach Brian Kelly comes in, they want to bring in their own guys. And who's this walk-on guy that earned a scholarship, in their eyes. And so I was told that my scholarship was on the line. So here I am again with the new coach having to prove myself. And once again, that's what I did. Every day I played with a chip on my shoulder, a reckless abandon, an undeniable confidence. Because I wanted the coaches to know that not only did I deserve to be on scholarship, I deserved to be there, but they had an asset in Torry Cornett, and I did that not only for myself, but for anybody else that was coming from the City League, coming from schools like, Walnut Ridge, Eastmoor, Marion Franklin, South Briggs. I want them to know that, hey, they are good enough, to play at the highest levels. But there is a level of dedication and work that you have to put in. It's an extreme level. So I kind of wanted to represent in that way.
All right. So it says in 2007, Cincinnati won its first conference championship since 1964 and advanced to a BCS bowl game for the first time. Cincinnati also earned its first appearance in the top 25 in more than 30 years. So what did it mean to you to see Cincinnati have that success?
It meant a lot, and to see coming in at UC, seeing no one come to the games, to now everybody's at the game, everybody loves you. First, no one cares who you are. Now you're playing in a big time BCS bowl game. It's a level of humility that comes along with that, where you're not too big for the moment. My senior year, I was able to start and be second on the team in tackles, it's ultra gratifying to know that you could come from a place of humility to know that, hey, no one really cares who you are. If you put in the time, effort, and energy to work, you can be on top. You can leave out your senior year on top.
Can you remember any game specifically that just stand out that brings you so much joy? It could be a game that you had an interception. It could be a game you had a bunch of tackles or a touchdown. Like, think of a game back in college. What was special about that game? Tell that story to us real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like, all the games were special, and I say that because my family was able to come and be there, be present. My grandmother, my grandfather, who no longer here, they were able to come and see me play. All my family, from Southfield to Smith Road to Berwick, they were able to come and see me. It was kind of like when I was successful, it felt like we were successful. My brothers, my sisters, everybody. But when we played against Marshall University, my senior year, I had pulled my hamstring earlier in practice, and they weren't sure if I was going to play. They wrapped me up, taped me up. I went out there, and I had the most tackles I ever had in a game. I think I had like 9 tackles, a sack, a couple pass breakups. And it was just a gratifying moment to know that if you push through, man, if you push through that threshold, then it's nothing but success on the other end of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also understand that you got the opportunity to try out for the Bengals. And some of your teammates also were at that mini camp, Kevin Huber and Ryan Manelik. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name correct.
Yeah.
But what was that experience like? Talk about the ups and downs of like that whole process of trying to try out for the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, everything is timing. And, LaShawn McCoy, we played against him at Pitt. That was a good moment, tackling him. But trying out for the Bengals, man, it was gratifying, man, to be in the locker room, to put the helmet on, to put the jersey on, to know that you're, in that 1% of college athletes that, have an opportunity to play in the NFL at the next level. It was ultra gratifying. Being in the locker room with big time guys. I tell guys all the time, it's a timing thing. A lot of times, the talent might be there, but they might have 10 or 12 other guys that they have. And so that was kind of my situation at the Bengals. I think we had like 10 other guys. Maybe 5 were signed to large contracts. They drafted a guy, and then the last spot was given to one potential free agent. So it was a long shot for me from the start, but it's real gratifying to know that once I got up against the best in the world, my peers respect me. My peers know that I can ball, and that's enough for me, man, just to know that, you know, I had the talent to play with the best in the world.
Now, you mentioned you had hoop dreams. Would you say that you also had NFL dreams? If so, what was it like to know that you had to kind of go to a plan B route after that process?
That's a great question, man. And I talk to a lot of former professional athletes now. I kind of mentor them about that, making that transition from professional sports into being a professional in another area of their life. And there's a mental barrier that you have to get over at first. But my strength didn't come, and my power didn't come from me being an athlete. So I always knew there was life after sports. I was well prepared for that going into it. But it was kind of a letdown. At the same time, I was able to, you know, play a little arena football, and I was able to travel the world and play professionally over in Germany for a couple years. So I was able to kind of fulfill my dreams or my goals of being a professional athlete.
Okay. I like that. Like you said that, I played football, but that wasn't my purpose. That's not my identity. You know, like one of my favorite lines, I don't remember if it's in Spider-Man or if it's in the Avengers. It's in one of those Marvel movies, like when Spider-Man is like, but when Iron Man takes his suit away from him and Spider-Man's like, I'm nothing without this suit. He said, if you're nothing without this suit, you don't deserve to have it. So like, I'm glad that you knew that your real identity was in something way bigger, man. So kudos to you for that, man. So now this is, we're going to take a turn. So I saw a clip of you and your family on Family Feud.
Yes.
Y'all was on a game show.
Yeah.
I looked it up on YouTube, and all I can remember is seeing you, your brothers, and your sisters, and y'all just like hugging each other and dancing. I was weak. Talk about that. Like, how did you guys get on Family Feud, man? Like, tell us the story.
Man, Family Feud was a great experience, man. If you haven't done it, if they still do it, I think everyone should at least try out the experience. So Family Feud, you have a open call, and we mentioned Taria. Taria was pretty much the driving force behind it, my sister Taria, because Facebook puts out open call, and you see those on Facebook all the time. You might not read it. My sister said, hey, y'all, let's try out. So you submit a video. You can record a video with your phone. You submit it. Once you submit the video, then your family automatically gets called to the open casting. The open casting is usually at a large hotel. It's probably 300-400 families. Family Feud already knows they're going to pick X amount of families. And you just go and you have fun with it, man. You know, you go and you do like a mock Family Feud as like the audition or the tryout. And what they want to see is they want to see you having fun. They don't, want to see you so much trying to win the game, but they want to see personality. They want to see you having fun, and they want to see you also then win the game. So Taria, having that cheerleading background, she's a cheerleader at A&T. She told us how to walk down the aisle and clap and be happy and put on our smiling faces, and we took her lead, and the rest was history. Meeting Steve Harvey, very very cool guy, man, from Cleveland. Homegrown. Talking to him is kind of like talking to like your cousin or talking to Mr. Roberts. Talking to your uncle. Like he really is a real person. It is no celebrity factor. When you're talking to him. So that was a great experience, and being with the family is kind of what it's all about, man. So we had an amazing time, man.
So was this like 2015, 2016, something like that? Yeah. So I was a production assistant actually. So I'm a film. I studied film making in college and things like that. So like one of my first gigs was like different production assistant jobs. Family Feud, I remember they came here, they hired me to be a PA. So I was one of these people shooting these families and things like that. So I must have been in a different room that y'all was in. Yeah. But I was in there shooting the families, and like they had like this cue when they wanted us to know that they're gonna pick that family for the next round. But it was so obvious. Like they would look at us and just be like, this point. I'm like, everybody can tell that, that you about to pick them. Right. But that's crazy. I remember that. That was at the Sheraton. Like right down the street. Yeah. So we're about to wrap up in a second. But switching back to football, what advice do you have for like kids today? Like, so if there's any kids that in Columbus City Schools specifically, if they want to play Division I football, what advice do you have for them so they can stand out to recruiters and coaches?
Yeah, man. The advice I have to not only the players but to the parents. I help people. I consult in helping student athletes get college scholarships and get recruited at the next level. And one advice that I have for the students is you have to be realistic about what you want to accomplish. So if it's you want to accomplish playing football at the next level, at the collegiate level, you have to be very intentional about accomplishing that goal. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming. There's no magic button to get to the top, and no one's going to come and just give you an opportunity. You have to write it down, make it plain, and you have to be consistent about achieving your goals. So first, in football, you have to have a trainer. You need to have a strict weight program that you have to be on consistently. You want to keep your body as clean as possible. Stay away from the black and miles, the tobacco, the weed, as much as possible, especially if you're under the age of 18. And you want to have your grades. Your academic prowess is amazing because there's so many trainers, there's so much talent right now that your grades have to be top-notch. You have to be a top-notch character individual, last but not least. I mean, your character has to speak first. So when they speak of your name, you want them to say, that's a man of integrity, that's a young man or woman of a high level of character, because these college coaches can find talent anywhere, but they can't find high character anywhere. So that's one of the main important things. And you have to be intentional. You have to consult with people that have been there before. It's people that know the ropes, people that understand how to get to that level, and people that can help you, and you have to listen. Mm-hmm. One thing that's helped me throughout life is I had a whole bunch of OGs that tell you stuff, and some of my friends, they don't listen. I listen. I try to learn something from everyone. I don't care if it's the custodian, somebody, alcoholic on the street, or somebody that's preaching in the pulpit. I try to listen and learn something from everybody.
All right. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you want to say that I didn't ask you that you think is important? Yeah,
man. I just think it's important for us as the City League that, once we make it to the next level, once we make it to college, all right, that's not it. Once we make it to the professional world, being a professional athletes, that's not it. We're so much more to that. And I think that it's important for us that once we have these opportunities, once you get an opportunity to play at a high level, to really hone in on that opportunity and take it serious, all right? And what I mean by that is you didn't win a championship by just getting there. You win a championship by getting there and doing your best while you're there. And that's on any level. And last but not least, after you become an athlete, you go to the top, there's life after that. There's a family life, all right? Your identity is not in the sport. Your identity is who you are. And if that's a child of God, your family and how you were raised.
Let's go. Yeah. So I cannot end this show without, I forgot to say this. So there's an Independence connection. Obviously, you Independence 04. For those that don't know, Independence 09, baby, right here. So shout out to my boy Brandon Hall, Richard Small, Carolyn Roscoe, Alex Hobbs. You know what I'm saying? I got to shout these people out, man. Mr. Arnold, Miss Strode, like any teachers you want to shout out.
Missy Madison.
Oh, Miss Madison. That was, Missy Fair now.
Missy Fair, excuse me.
Yeah.
The cheerleading coach, Miss Hatton.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out Jacob Ramsey, Brandon Morton, Ronnie Morton, Floyd Lewis, Dominic Ali, Jonathan McDonald, D'Angelo Smith, Erik Hall, Chad Carr.
Yeah.
Come on, Cliff Duxon in the house, Provo, the whole class is 04, 05, even 03, my guys older than me, man. I could name all y'all, man. I love y'all, and y'all know I do, man. Everybody from the class, Independence High School, 02, all the OGs that I looked up to, Andre Ashley, Jason Morton, from the Southeast Bulldogs to the Columbus Cougars to the Eastern Vikings.
Yeah.
If you're a part of those organizations, and everybody else, man, but those specifically, man, I hold y'all dear to my heart, man, and I love y'all, man, and y'all made me who I am today.
Yes, sir. Wampasilis too. So that's all the time we have today. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Torry, bro, so much for coming through, man. It's been love, man. You can catch all future episodes on WCBE 90.5 FM. You can also catch us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Additionally, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, at City League Sports 614. Until next time, we out.
Yes, sir. We out. We love you. Peace.